Randy Meinhard of Sacrosanct. Welcome to 69 Face of Rock. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. I hope you're doing well too.
Excellent. First of all, congratulations on your new album, Kidron.
Thank you.
It took what, 7 years for Kidron to see the light of day. What was happening during this time?
Yeah, or almost to be honest. Yeah, I started with new tracks in 2019, I think, and we finished everything in 2021. So that was the idea to release it. Yeah, very close to that date. And as you said, and as you mentioned, it took us a while again. Because we split up from the vocalist. We did the recordings with the first recordings of Kidron. At the time, it was not called Kidron. It has a different name, but yeah. And from that point on, and that was end of 2021. And from there on, we had to do a decision. We had to make a decision. And Max appeared on the scene not only as our producer and bass player, but also as a vocalist. And he said, "Let me try this," because I knew I know all the songs, and I will send you a recording,
Mm.
a little demo. And the first tunes we heard from Max in the Sacrosanct context was Avenging Angel, and it was almost finished. It was almost ready. We never did any demos or something. Max is
Mhm.
really a perfectionist and really professional. And yeah, he did the first verse, I think, the pre-chorus and the chorus. And from there on, it took another 6 weeks to finish the first track. And yeah, that was
That did it.
for us, it was clear that we have to go on, and yeah, that's what we did then. And it took us, maybe a little more than just another year. So end of 2022, begin of 2023, we finished everything and handed over to our upcoming label.
Mhm.
And from there on, we negotiated all the contracts and stuff like that. So, and that took another 2 years.
On the contrary, having 7 years at your disposal allows you to plan the album very carefully. Was this the case here?
Yes and no. I think it has advantages, but also disadvantages because yeah, I think a fire is burning when you're doing a record, and of course we wanted to push it out as fast as possible. You can imagine,
Mhm.
and sometimes things slowed down a bit. So, but it was very important, and we knew we were on the right track because Markus Wodkin is our A&R manager and at Raw at sorry Raining Phoenix Music Raw, and yeah, that was absolutely the right decision because he's a fan since Tragic Intense, knew our old stuff, and yeah,
Mhm.
he's doing an amazing job.
In your opinion, what kind of a record is Kidron, and where does it take Sacrosanct musically?
In comparison to what?
Anything else?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't ask musicians things like that because I think you will get the answer. It's our most important album, but to be honest,
And it should
with,
be.
yeah, and without kidding, it's really Necropolis was with Necropolis we picked up the red thread again, and Kidron is quite a few steps ahead in terms of so many things, you know. It sounds a little bit modern. It's maybe more or less more. Yeah, we because of Jonas, because of the real drums, we were using Max bass playing. There's so many things that yeah pushed it to a certain level, you know.
Mhm.
And yeah, Kidron is I think yeah we and also the rewriting of vocal tracks, the rewriting of the lyrics pushed it to another level,
Mhm.
honestly.
Even after the first listen, you get the impression of like a very special music atmosphere within Kidron. How would you describe it from the writer's point of view?
Honestly, I was a little bit surprised because this atmosphere get started to get bigger with Max, you
Mhm.
know. It was quite different with Ron on vocals, and since Max took over the vocals, it's we created a strange atmosphere. I cannot describe it really because it's a feel yeah, the feel from different musicians. They, yeah, who nailed it, to be honest. It's on point, I think, and it fits together perfectly, even though we were 2,000 miles from each other away, you know, because
Mhm.
he's living in Kiev. And and also Jonas is living a few hundred kilometers from here, and we all do it remote and never. Yeah, we of course we meet for rehearsals and we do live shows, but um, yeah, maybe every 6 or 7 or 8 weeks, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm really happy with how the result turned out because it's really a special atmosphere, and maybe it's also the fear we had with everything. I mean, our vocalist living in Ukraine,
Mhm.
with living from day to day. Yeah, it was hard and it still is. We yeah we still have we still are afraid of him, and yeah, the world is getting strange other way, but that's a different story. But I'm happy how it turns out on
It
Kidron.
sure is. Now, you've mentioned Max several times, and this album introduces Max Morton on vocals. So, why was Max such a perfect choice for Sacrosanct?
You know, I met Max in 2016, I think, and I first saw a YouTube video where he was reviewing an guitar amp for his studio channel, and there he was also playing guitar and singing along with it. And he had a really, I was so flashed about his voice, and then studied all his music stuff he released with Martin. Uh, and I think that's make a difference too. It was a challenge for him to sing the Sacrosanct stuff because it's not his tuning. We didn't write the songs for him, you know. But maybe yeah, it was a challenge for him, and maybe this also makes a difference because if you always feel comfortable with what you're doing, you never get challenged. And he got challenged with on this album, and I think you can hear the difference if you heard compared the Sacrosanct stuff to Martin and I. I knew already that he's an amazing singer, and after he sent us the first tunes, it was clear that he was perfect for it.
How does this version of the band compares to the lineups you had in the past?
Well, that's really hard to say because it was a different time, you know.
Mhm.
We always had great musicians with us,
That's
uh,
right.
but rehearsing each week is different compared to make music nowadays. So yeah, I think I cannot say, I cannot really give an answer on that because I mean, as you already agreed, we always had great musicians with us, but maybe we are more grown up today, all of us.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the mixture because Jonas is, I think, 30, 31 or 32. He's quite young. He's quite a young guy, but he's very far in his development as a drummer. He can do both. He's technical, but also he can, yeah, he's also grooving a lot, and that's a different. Mostly you have really great uh, technical playing, but missing the groove, and he has both things. And Max is also a multi. He has his series player too. So yeah, I think the mixture is maybe that what was perfect for Kidron today.
Is Kidron the beginning of a new phase for the band?
Yeah, it seems so, right?
Yeah,
So-
I know.
Somehow, somehow. Yeah, because we also sent CDs to the US and got the feedback. Oh, I was really surprised. Maybe he hadn't heard one of those video singles or something like that. But he was a big fan of Sacrosanct and sent me a picture listening to Kidron in his car. And he was very surprised, but he also liked it. I
Mhm.
think we have fans that maybe prefer our older stuff, and that's fine. We are totally happy with this because um, it's great when they listen to our old stuff. Um, and actually, I think we have a good mixture because we also have fans that like our old stuff and love the new one, uh, and newer fans that yeah have the first contact with Kidron. So yeah, I think it's a new phase and it's a new step of the development. And from there on, we will take the next step, I think.
What kind of a live presentation are you planning for concerts?
Oh, we had 2 weeks ago, we had our first two live shows. We just did three rehearsals with yeah, we cannot do it with Max. That's obvious, of course, not possible. So we have a new bass player in our ranks who's living close to Frankfurt, and a new vocalist, new old vocalist. Colin Cock is back for live purposes, and he's the vocalist you can hear on Tragic Intense.
Mhm.
So we try to keep it in the family, to be honest. Colin is an amazing singer, and he has the hardest job of all because we try to play from each album tracks, so also from the thrash albums, and that's for a vocalist maybe harder to sing, but we found a good solution for it, I think. We got
You
good.
made it work. Now, you came back with Necropolis in 2018, but prior to that, there was like a 25-year break. So what was happening during quarter of a century?
Working, to be honest. Yeah, I did some music, but I did some goth rock, something that was not so challenging. Sometimes my guitar was, yeah, I left it hanging on the wall, almost for half a year or something like that. I had a different focus, to be honest. It was more important, yeah, to earn money for living, and that's yeah, that was great because now I'm free to move on with the band, and I'm yeah more or less free. Yeah, I have more time for this and more money for this now, actually. It's
That makes sense. It
yeah.
seems like Sacrosanct excels at reinvention. Would you agree with that?
Sorry,
It seems like Sacrosanct excels at reinvention. Would you agree with that?
what does that mean?
Reinvention, that means making yourself like new again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, it is. But it's not never the idea when we start with new songs, But it's at the end, it's yeah, it's a way, it's a development, and yeah, I think as it goes in that direction. If we have a new phase now or something like that, and that's yeah, it's um, it's Kidron is different, and yeah, maybe something new, and also compared to Necropolis. But I also think Necropolis would sound different with the real drummer and with yeah, maybe with a different production. It was a different time for us. It is maybe a little bit more melancholy or melancholic, and Kidron is more. Yeah, we try to get more faster to the yeah quicker to the point.
Um,
Not only 9-minute tracks, even though we have one at the end as always. But the idea was, yeah, not to make it too complicated, but yeah, it's also the idea that you always find new things when you listen to the track over and over again. Yeah.
it definitely works for you. That I agree on that. Also, years
Mark,
and years
just
ago.
a second.
Also, years and years ago, you were involved with Pestilence. You played on their first record. You wrote some songs. What do you remember from that time?
Not much. Not because of drugs. I never used drugs, but honestly, it's almost 40 years ago. And yeah, I was together with Patrick and with Collie. We founded Pestilence, and yeah, for me it was great to see. Patrick was a already at that time he was a great musician. He played Pleasure to Kill. Yeah, and each song of it, ups and down, and across the whole the whole album. For me, it was a great time. We had a cool tour with DRI. Malleus is still, and yeah, it's still a great record, and something that shines out a bit in the Pestilence history. Different, it's different. It's
Mhm.
not better or whatever. Consuming Impulse is a classic. Testimony is a classic as well. But it still sounds something. It still sounds different to compared to the rest. And yeah, that's yeah. I'm proud of it. Still, it's part of my history. It's great.
Absolutely. And how important was that time in Pestilence for you when you look back on all of your things that you've done?
Very important because we got in touch with the business too, not only as a musician. Finding a record company was at that time, I think, more important than maybe nowadays. Even though I appreciate that we have a really cool record company behind us. I think it makes a difference. Of course, everybody can release an album, and at the time yeah, and in those at those days, in those days it was almost impossible to do to do a record on your own. You know, you needed a record company because it was simply too expensive to do that. Um, Nowadays you can do that with DistroKid or whatever. It's easy done. But most of the bands do not have the contacts and the reach, and I think it's a different. If you got a record from Warner or from Napalm, I think your awareness is different compared to just a record that you never have heard of, you know. So yeah, for us it was a good start in the business. Yeah, with first touring experiences, and yeah,
Yeah.
I played, I think, just a year my guitar, electric guitar. So I developed from there on too. It was very important to have yeah, such a great musician with Patrick in the band. Yeah.
Mhm. Getting back to Sacrosanct, when you look back at your five records, how did you evolve as a player and a songwriter during all that time?
Yeah, as you maybe know, every album sounds different, I think.
That's
Even
the
the
beauty of
first.
it.
Yeah, okay, that's great to hear. Uh, um, yeah, even the first two, which are more thrash inspired, are sounding different. That's maybe also. I think it's also the lineup. Um, and I've tried to be the red thread in the on every record, you know, from Truth Is. I think, I mean, Truth Is What is also have so many melodic stuff on it, even if it's faster, but there are guitar twins. Um, yeah, and that this is the red thread to today, and that's also on Kidron or on Necropolis.
Mhm.
Uh, I think, yeah, I evolve every time I write a new track, and especially if you have a longer time when you're writing a new album. I'm playing so intense. I'm playing guitar so intense all the time that there's always an development in playing. Um, and yeah, that's forces yet to get better, to get more precise, to record things. But mostly I forget that later on, and I have to study it again when we start playing live. But that's a different story. Um, yeah, I think it's it's cool when you're able to write your own songs, and that forces you to get better day by day, each day.
If you were to pinpoint, when did you think you found your definite style? Like, oh, that's really me, not copying anybody else. It's truly me. When did you find your own voice on guitar?
I'm not sure if I'm there, to be honest.
Mhm.
Maybe other people can decide that much better. Yeah, I often hear it's you, Randy. It's your guitar style, but I really don't know what my guitar style really is. What makes things different is I think that we have a different DNA.
Mhm.
Fate's Warning would never come up with the idea writing a song like Prince of Clowns or Still Open Sore. They never will do it, but we can do it because we are, yeah, we started as a thrash death band with, I started with Pestilence. It's a mixture of, yeah, thrash and, yeah, less death maybe. But when I write, even if it's maybe power metal or whatever you will call it today, with thrash influences, I think we write songs in a different way, not the classic verse, pre-chorus, chorus part. It's yeah, it's different, and it maybe that's something you can call our, yeah, our red thread or own style, whatever it is, something like that. I'm not sure.
Mhm. Um, Finally, what was the first impression and feeling after hearing the finished version of Kidron?
The finished version.
Yeah, mixed everything, like finally hearing the real thing. What was your first impression and feeling?
To be honest, I had that feeling around 8 times because with each song it was so amazing, honestly, because you can imagine I write the songs, I record the drum tracks, I hand it over to Jonas. He is doing his stuff as a with his view as a drummer, and every time things changed. Then we had it finished in 21 with vocals, with lyrics. And of course, I heard that so often until we had that finished. And then we yeah started all over again with new lyrics, with new vocals, and it was sounding completely different. So I had this experience every time Max was sending us a final track, a final version. And sometimes I really had get used to it because it was that different. And the other day it was perfect on spot. We never changed it. It was uh, always my problem, because I had that in the original in mind. So it was, yeah, it was great. I think the biggest change for me was hearing Avenging Angel, hearing the first track is maybe that what you asked me for the whole album. I had that experience, and it was, yeah, it was really for us a very special moment. It was a Sunday morning, and I opened up my handy and found something in the Dropbox from Max. He sent it overnight, and me and my wife, had a coffee and listened to it, and we both were, yeah, totally fascinated. And we told him, please go on, and then we had to wait another 6 weeks, and that were really long. Yeah, it was a long time for us to wait the next 6 weeks, and from there on, yeah, we had listening sessions even at night. Max is often working at night, and when I knew he was sending a new track, I woke up at night, at 1 or 2 a.m. Looking on my handy, and then we start to chat. I listened to it and on the headphone, and then we had another night shift. It was great. It was great.
Randy, thank you so much for taking the time to speaking with me. You have a great record on your hands. Good luck with the new album.
Thank you, Mark. My pleasure.